It's Friday, March 27th, 2026. Welcome to episode 196 of the Alameda Postcast, an audio service of the Alameda Post. I'm your host, Scott Peeler. In this edition of the Postcast, busy times for the Planning Board, City Council, and AUSD. An embezzlement arrest involving Girls Inc. AC Transit makes changes. Local nurses raise a red flag. Another No Kings rally. Are you ready for a tsunami? Do you really need 10,000 steps? Also, events for your weekend. These stories and more on this episode of the Alameda Postcast. Our top story, on Monday, the Planning Board advanced several high-profile projects. Let's take a look. Planner Brian McGuire presented a proposed development plan amendment for blocks 12 and 13 of the Site A project at Alameda Point to allow construction of the Radium Theater Performing Arts Center, which would be a 35,000 square foot two-story building with a 550-seat theater, restaurant, rooftop bar, and public plaza on approximately 2 acres along the Seaplane Lagoon Taxiway. The public plaza would include outdoor performance space, landscaped areas, stormwater management, and a new slow-speed street with drop-off access. The project is part of the broader waterfront town concept. The latest iteration of plans prioritizes key historic view corridors, notably preserving the visual connection between the Alameda Naval Air Museum and the waterfront, changing the theater location and plaza design with the building shifting west from the original proposal. Public comment and reaction from the Planning Board was overwhelmingly positive. Brent Saldana, attorney and chair of real estate practice with Farella, Braun, and Martell, framed the project as transformational, with the potential to attract regional audiences, support local businesses, and expand opportunities for youth arts programming. The board unanimously approved the development plan amendment. For a detailed look at the proposed Performing Arts Center, you can find numerous articles at alamedapost.com. Just search Radium. Additionally, head to radiumpresents.org. I would also recommend heading to the Alameda Connection archive on YouTube. That's youtube.com/@AlamedaConnection, and check out my December 21st interview with Rachel Campos de Ivanoff. In other business, Planning Services Manager Steve Buckley presented a proposal for a 2-year interim use permit to allow temporary storage of electric vehicles at 1521 Buena Vista Avenue, that's Encinal Terminals, while the site awaits redevelopment. That's the currently empty parcel in between Fortman Marina and Wind River, across Clement from Star Harbor, the former Del Monte building. The property is slated for future development, including roughly 500 market rate and 80 affordable housing units, along with parks, trails, and sea level adaptation improvements. Poor real estate market conditions have led to prolonged delays, resulting in trespassing, graffiti, vandalism, and safety concerns. Developer Bayview Landing argues that the temporary use would help address that by activating and securing the property. The interim use would involve trucking in electric vehicles for short-term storage before delivery, a use consistent with existing zoning, Tidelands trust allowances, and interim uses that are allowed before full redevelopment. Members of the public expressed some concerns regarding increased truck traffic in the area, with one speaker saying it would reverse the neighborhood's past progress toward becoming pedestrian-friendly. Ultimately, the board approved the concept with conditions including strict operating hours of 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., a requirement that the new driveway and access changes must go through the Public Works permit process, with plans that address truck circulation, gates, internal layout, and pedestrian and bicycle safety, as well as other stipulations including to consider striping, crosswalks, or ruled curbs and separation between truck routes and pedestrian paths to ensure pedestrians are not forced to share space with trucks. Finally, City Planner Brian McGuire outlined proposed amendments to the USS Hornets use permit at Alameda Point following public safety concerns raised during recent large events. A public safety review identified issues with crowd control, evacuation capacity, and a lack of accountability for third-party event vendors. Consequently, the proposed amendments establish a maximum occupancy of 660 people, annual safety inspections, setting stricter operational rules for overnight stays, eliminating fireworks displays, and lowering the threshold for when special event permits are required, especially for higher-risk events involving alcohol or large crowds. The amendment allows for up to 6 helicopter landings per year, subject to regulatory approvals. The Planning Board unanimously approved the proposed amendments. Full story in Karen Jensen's article at alamedapost.com/news. As previewed in episode 194, at the March 17th City Council meeting, plans were approved for changes to the intersection of Lincoln Avenue and Walnut Street. Since 2009, 38 collisions have occurred at that intersection, of which 30 of those were of the broadside type, more commonly known as a T-bone crash. Despite the changes implemented since 2020, which were aimed at increasing crosswalk and pedestrian visibility, reducing pedestrian crossing distances, adding dedicated left turn pockets, and improving roadway sight distance, broadside collisions continue to be a problem. Public Works staff proposed the installation of a raised traffic island placed in the middle of the intersection. This diverter would restrict left turns and through movements along Walnut Street while maintaining pedestrian and bicycle access, as well as vehicle left turns from Lincoln to Walnut. After commentary, including feedback from residents who expressed a desire to see some action taken to reduce collisions, Council approved the recommendation on a 4-0 vote with Vice Mayor Michelle Pryor absent. The diverter could be installed as soon as summer of 2026. In other business, Planning, Building, and Transportation Director Alan Tighe and members of his team summarized progress and this year's goals on climate initiatives and transportation projects. Subjects included sustainability and resilience, transportation planning, and the general plan and housing element. Director Tighe reviewed service metrics from his department, highlighting that the city's permit center handled over 8,500 phone calls and 20,000 emails, issued over 4,500 permits, and completed over 30,000 inspections. He also teased upcoming changes to the permitting process with the rollout of instant permits for faster service. More on Alan Tighe in a moment. Council accepted the reports on a 4-0 vote. Full details in Ken Durr's article at alamedapost.com/news. The report from Alan Tighe will be among his last. San Pablo City Manager Matt Rodriguez has officially appointed Tighe to serve as that city's Community Development Director, according to a report in the Richmond Standard. Tighe has served as the City of Alameda's Planning, Building, and Transportation Director since 2023. Prior to his service in Alameda, Tighe spent more than 7 years with the City of San Jose. In San Pablo, Tighe will oversee building, planning, and residential housing inspection services. He is expected to start his new position on May 1st. Full story at alamedapost.com/news. Just one of the changes headed Alameda's way. In its Tuesday meeting, the Alameda Unified School District Board approved hiring Alex Harp as the new principal of Alameda High School. Mr. Harp will take the place of Angela Barrett, who's leaving at the end of this school year. Harp currently serves as the principal of both the East Bay Art Center and Lincoln Alternative Education Center in the San Lorenzo Unified School District. Some AHS families expressed disappointment with the selection, expressing our preference for longtime AHS assistant Michael Lee, with those families organizing on social media to address the issue at the meeting. Ken Durr will have the full story in an upcoming article at alamedapost.com/news. Alameda Police Department detectives have arrested a former employee of local nonprofit Girls, Inc. of the Island City in connection with an embezzlement scheme involving a loss of more than $460,000, according to an APD report on Facebook and confirmed by the organization. Safiola Manzor of Walnut Creek was arrested on March 11th and is charged with a felony count of embezzlement over time, according to a report in the East Bay Times. The Alameda Police Department's investigation started in early October after a report stating that the former employee possibly took roughly $22,000 from the organization. Last week, APD arrested the former employee at their residence in connection with the investigation, which had uncovered an elaborate scheme that had allegedly been carried out over several years. The case has been forwarded to the Alameda County District Attorney's Office for review. Full story at alamedapost.com/news. More changes. AC Transit announced this week that bus service will make stop changes to better accommodate riders and reinstate stops along reconstructed roadways starting Sunday, April 15th, in response to the Oakland-Alameda Access Project. You can check out all the impacts for Alameda riders and the full schedule change at alamedapost.com/news. A large group of nurses rallied outside Alameda Hospital on Saturday the 21st as part of a nationwide Red Alert tour, protesting federal cuts to Medicare and Medicaid as a result of the so-called Big Beautiful Bill. Full story at alamedapost.com/news. Staying with the topic of folks who are unhappy with the current state of national affairs, Alameda will host its third No Kings rally tomorrow, Saturday the 28th. The event starts at 10 a.m. with a pre-rally at Chichenio Park, then a march to Alameda City Hall for the rally. Full story at alamedapost.com/news. Would you know what to do in a tsunami? While the chances of a tsunami greatly affecting us are low, it's not out of the question. This is Tsunami Preparedness Week. Get the details at alamedapost.com/news. By the way, do you really need 10,000 steps a day? Well, it's not a bad idea. The concept is coming under scrutiny. Bottom line, benefits plateau at around 7,500 steps. Denise Lum breaks it all down at alamedapost.com/health-fitness. Lots going on this weekend, from a whiskey stroll to a musical at Altarena to Easter events. Amanda Laird has your weekend covered in her all-around Alameda column at alamedapost.com/alameda-life. Also, busy weekend for Scholastic Theater, Shrek at Encinal High, and your good man Charlie Brown at AHS. I hope you can join me this Sunday morning at 8 a.m. on KCSM HD2 when my guest on the Alameda Connection will be Tara Pilbrow, Executive Director of the West End Arts District. Find the Alameda Post on all the social media platforms, now including TikTok. You can subscribe to us on Apple News. Sign up for our weekly news digest at alamedapost.com/email-digest. Get the Postcast wherever you get your podcast, or simply tell your smart device to play the Alameda Postcast podcast. I'm Scott Peeler, back next Friday with episode 197 of the Alameda Postcast.